Hello and welcome to Arcade Couch, best place to chill with friends and get your gaming goodness each and every Monday. My name is Dylan Blight and Jeremy on the couch this week. Ashley, hopefully.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about video games. Definitely not corporate greed.
We will probably be talking about corporate greed, I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Oh no, it's happened again. Not a lot has happened in the past week as far as like exciting news or announcements or anything. However, post SGF, not too surprising. It's usually quite just before and after, as it is at the end of the year when we get to the Game Award season. But the big news story of the week was coming out of Xbox, and it wasn't a good one. They got all the good press from their Xbox showcase during SGF, and they quickly expunged that as fast as they could. So reading from Press Start, Xbox is reportedly about to shut down South Midnight Studio Compulsion Games alongside Obus Studios. As I read this as an update, apparently Double Fine and Ninja Theory are also in active discussions to close down as well as I continue the rest of the story. But original story goes, after word of Xbox's looming reset emerged last week in the form of a letter published by Xbox's Asher Sharma and Matt Booty, Kotaku is reporting that the first studio on the chopping block might be Compulsion Games, the studio behind titles including Contrast, We Happy Few, and South of Midnight. Nothing has been formally confirmed by Xbox. However, Kotaku's report has been updated to indicate that negotiations are ongoing between the two, leading to speculation that Compulsion Games could be attempting to buy back its independence, just as Toys for Bob did a couple of years ago. South Midnight was recipient of several awards, including a Peabody and a BAFTA. It also took home Game for Impact award at the Game Awards last year. Compulsion Games was acquired in 2018 as part of a buying blitz by Xbox, which at the same time acquired Undead Labs, Playground Games, and Ninja Theory. Xbox announced the formation of the Initiative, their quadruple A studio that worked on the ill-fated Perfect Date reboot. At the same time, however, it was shuttered as part of significant cut-offs and layoffs last year. So, yes, and then the follow-on to that came from Blueberg and Jason Schreier, that Double Fine and Ninja Theory are part of this as well. Ninja Theory being quite an odd one considering they literally just announced Senua at the Xbox game showcase. What do you make of all this?
Sadly this has become commonplace within the industry, so it isn't shocking out of the blue. But it's disappointing. I feel like the most egregious thing is the Senua Ninja Theory thing, where they have just revealed this game to the audience as a selling point for you to get invested in the Xbox ecosystem. And then less than, just over a week later, it's revealed that, they only showed that because they wanted investors to get involved to potentially buy the studio. And that there is a fair chance that this game never sees fruition. And it definitely won't see fruition through Xbox Studios. I think is pretty gross and kind of adds a level of distrust to everything Microsoft kind of will showcase going forward. Like, sure, that there's a litany of games that show up in showcases that will never see the light of day, just end up, for whatever reason, not working out and that kind of stuff. But to be so knowing that you're not actually going to commit 100% to trying to get this made, I think is pretty deceptive, and probably could have not been involved in the showcase. Like, I don't think people would have been upset if that game had not been shown. And if you're trying to sell that game to people, there's other ways you could have shown it off. You got this whole games period. You'd be like, oh, there's this game. We don't know if we're going to be able to fully fund it, but here's a slice of what we're thinking it could be, and that kind of stuff. But to have it in your annual big showcase and not be fully committed to it, I think is in poor taste.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't know what the fuck Xbox is doing. They're
cutting money.
Well, yeah, they're trying to...
It turns out I've been saying all along, putting all your games on Game Pass, while trying to keep, 20, 30 studios running, not a great financial plan.
I mean, their plan seemed to be, whether or not it was a good idea or not, I don't know, because there is a world where maybe it could have worked out. But the plan seemed to be, obviously, subscription service. Forget everything else. It's all about Xbox Game Pass. Everything's an Xbox, blah, 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 blah. To fulfill that and make the subscription service be the product that everyone needs to be and the thing to do, we need to get more stuff on that. So we're going to buy all these studios. We're going to buy 18 plus whatever studios over this course of time. And we're going to have all these studios which can fulfill this subscription service with content that people will be excited for and want to put stuff on. And then they're buying them all and their games join there. And then there's an exciting time period where their back libraries enter it. And then they go, and then years pass without anything new out from most of these people. Or it takes ages for any of these people to put out anything new. And then they go, what are you doing? And they're like, I don't know. What are you doing? Oh, we're just trying to spend $10 billion on closing this Activision deal. Oh, we forgot about you. I mean, that's how I at least picture it playing out in the back of my mind. Because the one that's most confusing to me is Double Fine, a studio who, in my mind, should be putting out like 2 games a year.
Yeah.
Like,
or at least like curating 2 games a year. Like even with all of Tim Schafer's connections, like, and all the work he does at the indie space, like you couldn't like use Double Fine as like a Devolver like banner to like, or Annapurna like banner to like fund a bunch of indie games that will come to Xbox. That's crazy. Like, I feel like they have not utilized that studio very well. But they just put out a game last year, or recently, right? The
Keeper,
pottery,
the lighthouse one,
Kiln, yeah.
Oh, Kiln. Sorry, Kiln.
Yeah, and the Lightkeeper game. So 2 games recently?
2 games. That was Kiln was this year, and the Keeper was last year.
Yeah.
But my thing with them is, Double Fine is a studio who runs in and has sort of, when I like, is at its best when they're experimenting and doing weird little small games. These 4 to 6 hour experiences that cost you like $30 or whatever. That should be what they're doing, and they should be putting out a couple of those a year. You shouldn't be getting. It's like they put out Psychonauts 2, nothing for years. Then you finally get Keeper, and then Kiln, 1 year apart. But there's massive gap between them. Like, that is not the way that studio should be run. IMO. And as for their publishing and curating, they did some of that. They published that Knights and Bikes game that came out like, I don't know, 10 years ago or some shit. I don't know, probably not 10 years ago. But
no, it was 2019.
And
which coincidentally was before they were bought by
Xbox.
Yes.
But then they continue this. Obviously, Tim Schafer, what's the showcase that plays right after SGF? Day of the Devs. Tim Schafer's the guy for that. That's the thing. It's like everything there. All that in an ideal world, it's like that shit's half those games are getting published by Double Fine and yeah, it's just Xbox just brought them up and shut them out. I don't know. They were, and they had a string of bad luck where they were purchased previously. Where they were under THQ, and then they had to escape that. And then they did the whole crowdfunding thing to get Broken Age up. And then they sort of had a good I think, run for a while there amongst things that was happening. And then Xbox brought them. And then they just don't run well under being owned by anyone. I think is at least the moral of the story to me. Like they're not such a creative studio trying to run under the inside the belly of the beast isn't working. Somewhat shockingly,
Yeah.
And then Ninja Fury, as to everything you said, that's just utterly ridiculous. Like you announce a game, you get people excited about a game, and then what? We're gonna find out later this week that it's not continuing unless someone buys them because they're incapable of buying themselves out.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, I can understand why these studios are being pinpointed as, being on the chopping block. Like you said, Double Fine has not had the output that they'd probably expect. Sure, they got, Psychonauts 2 out of it, but then, that's 2021. 4 years before another title from them. And it's not like a AAA massive seller, it's another smaller titles. Ninja Theory, Senua's Hellblade 2 did not get the reaction they were expecting, given the time and scale that was, they put into it, and like the anticipation of like every year there seemed to be a new little slice of Hellblade 2 within the showcases and that kind of stuff, and it just took a long time for it to finally come. Especially when it was like they announced Hellblade 2 with the announcement of the Series X.
For the Series X.
Like,
I think
just before. I think they were in the same like showcase or announcement thing. So it not being a big hit, I think, probably worked against them greatly. And they haven't had much output other than whatever that multiplayer game is that they had that they were really working on before they were bought. And then Compulsion with South of Midnight, while some people really enjoyed that, I don't think it was a massive success either. So, and if, like we've said before, it's going to be another several years life cycle before they deliver anything. But that's what you should have expected when you bought these studios. That you're making a big investment and the payoff is not going to take a long time for it to be delivered on. It very rarely is it instant gratification. It suddenly turns into a sure hit every single time. So, I mean, it, I suspect, just rolls back to it being very short-sighted, them buying all these studios. When they could have done more what PlayStation did with just making a bunch of third-party exclusive deals to try and get stuff on Game Pass. You get the same end result, but not as much risk because you're not actually paying for the studio to continue or whatever they're making next. You're just paying for that game, and then these studios may or may not still be around, but at least Xbox wouldn't be on the hook and taking responsibility for shutting them down. You know what I mean?
The other thing that sort of as to what they expected their return to be is, I mean, all three of these studios here are, I would say, more artistically experimental sort of studios. They're not the big budget, general, every gamer is going to be interested in what they're putting out. Like, you're going to get a good return, like, sort of thing. So I don't know what they expected out of them, Like, I know that We Happy Few, Xbox tried to pin that up as they were marketing like that was going to be a big game for them, but end of the day, it was still an experimental thing that was sort of about societal, footprint, keeping man down or whatever. And then South of Midnight obviously is its own sort of, I don't know, history. Black History. I don't know what the category, but and then obviously Ninja Theory is over here making all these games about mental health and schizophrenia. It gets and Devolver's just putting out odd little, like they're putting 10 weirdo artists in a room and seeing what they can bang out and what odd adventures they can come up with. None of these are your Call of Duties, is I guess my point, or your Halos, or your Gears of War, or whatever that you may think that they want. And in all honesty, these sorts of games are not really whatever Xbox has sort of been known for. Xbox has always been the, what do you see in the Xbox? Xbox, at least, the 360 era, it was your, so Xbox was the bro console.
Yeah.
And like shooters, violence, Gears, Halo, there were two, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, people might argue there's some other stuff on there, but that's what it was. That was it.
That was what it was built on. That's
what it was built on. Foundation. And over time, they've tried to get some more stuff over there and whatever else, but try and change the image. But they were trying to, if you try and force a square into a triangle, does fit. I think
well,
that's
it depends how big the triangle is.
Yeah, that's true.
How big the square is.
I've seen that video. The only other big piece of news that happened this week was the cover art reveal alongside the pre-orders going live for GTA 6. My whole thing for this is simply this. If you ever forget how big Grand Theft Auto is in the scheme of pop culture, the fact that they can put out a cover art reveal in the digital age and people go mad is how big Grand Theft Auto is. What was your, I mean, you would have seen lots of people talking about posting this or whatever, the craziness, I guess, a bit.
I didn't really see much, but I was like, oh, the cover art's there, cool. And I saw that it was a story a lot of places. Just because it's going to generate clicks, having, here's the cover here's the confirmed cover, because I feel like we've seen similar images to what it actually was, like in the lead up, whether it's people pulling, like people imagining what it's going to be and like kind of guessing what it was going to look like or whatever. But so it wasn't like it's not like, wow, this is that game, crazy. But yeah, I mean, the fact that all the speculation was we were going to get some sort of reveal or gameplay trailer during the lead up or during this Summer Games Fest period, and for the one piece of advertising or like build up be just a cover reveal and it being very well received, I think is nuts. That's your pre-orders open video. Wild.
Not even some snippet of gameplay or anything like that. No. It's like we haven't seen any gameplay.
No. All we've seen is cutscenes, right?
Yep. We've only ever seen cutscenes. Now, some of the stuff, I can't remember if they said some of that like stuff was in-game footage or whatever, but we have not seen a single bit of gameplay at this stage.
Uncut gameplay, yeah.
Uncut gameplay coming from Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, of course, it's not shocking to say that that's not necessary for people to go wild for this, but still. And there's just still some. It's just also the fact that the cover art for a Grand Theft Auto game is so like monumental in its reveal. I just can't get over the fact that it's still a big deal in the digital age. Like, no, it's like, here's the box art. I'm like, motherfuckers, half of you aren't buying this physically. You're over here buying this digitally on Steam or what. It was like, here's the official cover art reveal. Hell yeah, I'm so excited to have that on my computer wallpaper. I don't know.
Yeah. That little screen.
Pre-orders start on the 25th, Thursday next week. Well, this week, but if you're listening to this, Monday. There you go.
It's happening. We assume.
I mean, if they were going to delay at this point, they wouldn't put out the pre-order thing, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, and it can't get delayed because it'll just shatter the entire video game industry. The entire games ecosystem has been built around the fact that GTA is coming out on this date. So, a delay would just have incredible ripple effects across the board.
It is crazy how one game holds the balance of
a gazillion
everything
other games
in its palm. It's like Infinity Stone of release dates in its arm.
Yep.
All right, I have been playing, and I think I've nearly finished it, but I haven't quite finished it. Also, I could be wrong, and I could feel like I'm approaching the end, and I could be.
And then there's another 60 hours.
There's another 60 hours, so I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say I've nearly finished. Anyway, I've been playing The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales, which is the new game from Square Enix Creative Studio 5. And Team Asano. They, of course, the team behind Octo Traveler and what's the other one? Octo Traveler, Triangle Strategy, whatever it is.
Yep.
Who have done a wonderful job at making this HD 2D art style such a relevant, beautiful thing in our current world. It is unlike other games that look like this and been put out with them. It is not a turn-based RPG. It is a real-time combat adventure game. Basically, it's like Legend of Zelda, but with less puzzles, I guess, would be the thing. I mean, you're roaming around the world, you're hitting little squidgy enemies a couple times with your sword. They drop little rubies. They're not rubies, but they drop they drop things. You go pick them up, all the stuff like that. You have a little fairy companion, you go on an adventure. The story is interesting. I like it, although it does remind me of some other games, I guess is the thing. I'm enjoying the characters. Oh, no, let me put it this way. I think that the story is fine. I'm enjoying the characters more, or most of the characters, I'll say. Most of the characters more so than the actual story. And the other problem with this game story is that it's super fine for most of it, and then in the back end of it, where I'm up to now, they sort of get into a lot more interesting stuff. So, where I'm like, maybe should have spread out this narrative choices here across the whole game, and that would have made it more interesting. But anyway, you play as Elliot. He's an adventurer. The game starts in, I can't remember all the kingdom names, but you start in this kingdom, and basically there's a princess who is casting a spell over the kingdom to protect it from monsters being able to enter it, and people don't like to or won't venture outside the walls because there's monsters out there, and the spell that she's doing helps keep it from not being invaded. Then there's a guy who I can't remember his name, but he is like, I don't know, like the hand to the king. Let's say that, sure. Let's go Game of Thrones terms. He hates the king, you can tell very early, and he wants to be the one in charge. Of course, there's always that evil guy lurking in the background behind every king, trying to steal their job. And he goes off and basically, because Elliot's discovered what they believe to be a doorway of time, which he then goes after, even though the king says not to. He goes for a doorway of time, and then Elliot follows him. So basically, the doorway of time, as the title would suggest, travels back in time to a different age. They don't really give you years. It could be like 100 years earlier or whatever. Basically, throughout the game, you will find, I think it's 1, 2, 3. Is it 4 or 5? I think it's 4, 5. They're basically different ages throughout the same kingdom, spread across that you'll travel to. And across these, you're exploring the same map, which isn't particularly large. Enough, it's fine. But you're exploring it 4 or 5 times over, and you're meeting characters across these different times, and you're getting a better idea of how the kingdom got to the place it is when the game starts. Now, the start of the game, the first half, we're chasing after old Hand of the King trying to steal the crown and whatever else, and that sort of setup. Again, fine. It's just like typical evil bad guy nonsense, wants to take over the kingdom. You've seen it a million times over. However, towards the back end of the game, what I believe to be the back end of the game, where I'm at now, they start getting into more how did the kingdom end up the way it is, where the monsters and there's these other people who are sort of like half monster, half human people, and they're like separated to the humans who all live in the kingdom. How did all this sort of stuff, which is, I mean, very not even on the nose, it's just very obvious, like prejudices and whatever else and stuff being played out by having people look differently and wanting to not do that. This stuff is all a lot more, I think, interesting, especially as they start when you first meet some of these people in one time and you travel back further and like meet the parents of a particular character. And this is all a lot more interesting. I sort of wish this part of the story, or like at least little driplets of this element of the storyline, had been spread further out, but nonetheless. You can beeline the storyline in this if you want. I think probably get through it faster. I don't think that the game has dungeons, but they're not like proper, I would say, Zelda dungeons. That you sort of just make your way through them. There's puzzles again in quotation marks. I don't think they're particularly hard. It's just like push a couple boulders around and like whatever. You get a fairy companion, which I guess is the main part of solving some of these puzzles. She is so fucking annoying though. I found this is one of those AI companions that just loves to talk. But the voice acting, it was grating. Absolutely grating. It's really like a really high pitch, like you'll do anything and just constantly the whole game. Oh, Elliot, we should. I'm like, shut the fuck up. So then the funniest thing was I went into the settings, scroll down. I'm like, is there an option to make this fucking talk less? There was. I turned that on. So that's my suggestion for anyone playing this game. She still talks too fucking much though. Then I Googled this the other day and found out that the only reason that option was actually added into the game was because everyone was complaining that she talked too much during the demo they put out and was also hating her voice acting. So then they added in the option for her to talk less. She still don't talk. We need her to talk less. I need an extra less fairy talk, please, in this game. Anyway,
mute button.
There is no, well, the problem is I'm down for some that she can talk during necessary like story moments or whatever. What I don't need is constant commentary on everything I'm doing in the game. Oh, Elliot, there's some gems there. Oh, Elliot did so good doing that. Oh, I can't believe you fucking fought them well. Oh, look at your combo meters doing it. Shut up! Leave me alone. Fuck. She, the fairy, Faye is her name. Faye the fairy. I remember that one. She gets powers as you go through the game. So this can range from like the ability to see all these things you can activate with the button press and then like change them and stuff. But it's like get the ability to turn into fire, get the ability to like warp Elliot across places. The last one you get is like copy, so she becomes a copy of Elliot and just mimics every move she does. So some of these things could obviously be used in combat. The fire thing, you can sort of light enemies on fire. Now you can control her using the right analog stick and move her around at the same time as you, or another player can take control of her, which I've not done, but I also can't imagine would be that exhilarating to play as far as a co-op experience. It might be good for little kids, I guess, would be the thing. I'm like, you can control the fairy because you're just floating around the fit. Like she can't die. I'm like, help me pick up the gems and health that drops off enemies, that sort of thing, I guess would be the pitch. And then, it's like the mimic thing can be used for puzzles. Sometimes we have to get Elliot. It's like, there's 2 buttons here. There's only one Elliot. What do? Oh, we use the mimic ability. Woo! Then the warp one, it's like, man, I really wish I could cross this gap. I don't know. Oh, I'm going to use the puzzles aren't really puzzles. It's just sort of do it. Which I guess is sort of my thing. I'm enjoying the game. However, it's just a lot of it is, what do we call it? You're just actively playing it, and it's sort of like hitting enough endorphins of like, I'm killing the enemies. I'm doing the thing. Well, here's a cutscene. This is interesting. This game's very pretty. This 2D HD art style's Richard. But I don't think it's very deep. I don't think the combat's like there is the ability, I guess, if you bumped up the difficulty, but this is I never liked this argument. Man, if you bumped up the difficulty to hard or super hard, you'd really have to make sure you master the ability of using the fairies abilities and Elliot at the same time to get the most out of combat. Why do I have to do that? I'm playing on normal. And it's fine. I don't feel like I have to change the weapons. I don't feel like I have to use the powers that often. It's like as much as, man, there's a little snail creature coming. That little snail creature has a bomb on the back of it. I'm gonna quickly activate the fire ability, send the fairy in, she'll explode him. Combat 10 out of 10. Like that's as far as me thinking outside the box is gonna go for this one, I think. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I just don't think it's particularly deep, and I don't think it's just like, I don't know, it's like a 6 out of 10 Zelda game. The 2D Zelda game where it's like it's missing some of the depth and nuance that you would get from that. Especially the game could have used some more puzzles. I think if they want to go down that road, a bit more depth to it. And then I think the most interesting elements of the story are in the back end of the game, and they could have been spread out and maybe replace some of the stuff they did at the front end. Because I think the first few hours are kind of boring. So you have to push through a bit to get to some more interesting stuff. Elliot's a good character. I like Elliot. He's generally, the voice acting is good. Everyone's voice acted. He's voice acted well. He's a good lad. I like him. He's generally just, he's a kind-hearted JRPG sort of lead character dude, but I like it and appreciate him. It's just a pity he's stuck with this annoying as fuck fairy. That's how I feel about the Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. All right, shout outs. Also, Jacob put up a review for Lost Castle 2, which just came out of early access and entered 1.0 full release now. He gave it a 7.5, saying the story is engaging, the gameplay along with the overall atmosphere is captivating. I plan to keep this game on my rotation for my go-to roguelikes. I like the art style in this. It's very, I don't know. I don't know what you would even call it. It's just reminds me of like Castle Crashers or that sort of art style. That's how I always go to explain. I'm like, Castle Crashers. That's what it looks like. So read his full review for that, and then I shall have a review for The Adventures of Elliot when I finish it. Whether or not that's as soon as I think it is, time will be the judge. But I definitely feel like I'm approaching the end. I don't know. All right, let us know any comments, questions, concerns, or things you've got about stuff we discussed this week. Send us something discussed next week on the show by heading to explosionnetwork.com/follow. We can find all of our social links. And if you like the show and like to support Explosion Network, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support. And we'll see you here next week. Same time, same couch.